Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Dom, aka KT2, and I'm coming back to you guys for yet another video, guys. And this video today is crazy. Like, I've got one of the rarest officers in the army, right? This guy is rare. This is like finding a leprechaun, right? This is a pot of gold, guys. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but cyber is a new branch. Guys, this is a new branch, and we have with us a real life cyber officer with us today, guys. So without further ado, guys, I am here with Zach, and we are going to get this interview started because I want to know everything I can. All right, hey Zach, thank you for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem, no problem. So, can you tell us what exactly is your MOS? What is the alphanumeric number? Is it actually called cyber officer? Is it cyber security? Is it what is it?
17 Alpha, and it's Cyber Officer. The actual term is a little bit different on the inside, but yeah, we're all classified as cyber officers. And that's pretty much general over the whole spectrum there.
Okay, okay. What rank are you?
First lieutenant.
First lieutenant. Okay. You don't got to tell us your exact job unless you can, but how long have you been at the current job that you're at?
Yeah, I commissioned in February of 2019, and then Bullock with snowbirding and everything ends up being about a year. So I got here February of 2020.
Okay.
February, early March, and I've been in the same role ever since.
So you got to tell us, man, because when I was in OCS, a lot of you guys don't know this. I was in OCS. I tried to be a cyber officer, right? But this guy, I don't know. My Python wasn't strong enough. I think you do JavaScript and Java. My JavaScript sucks, and my Java sucks. So why did you pick cyber?
So before Stop, I was OCS as well. I actually watched a lot of your videos before I joined up. So before that, I was a DoD civilian employee, and I tried for a direct commission. They really wanted a lot of programmers at the time, so I ended up going to OCS, basic OCS, and all that. And I mean, really, I wasn't going to do it because I was a little tired of the whole field. But then some people talked me into it. I applied, and the rest is kind of history.
What is a typical day look like for you as a cyber officer? I mean, do you get up and do you do PT with your soldiers? Do you go to the DFAC and do you get home at a good hour? Like, can you break that down for all of us because we're all learning?
Right, yeah. So my unit, we do PT 3 times a week. So we don't really have platoon. We have things called like, so for my unit, we have like mission elements. And the head of that element would be a major or a captain. Really, we actually are really down on captains also. So all of the billets that the lieutenants are in are all captain's billets.
Wow.
So actually like Captain KD billets as well. But you got to be like a first lieutenant promotable for that actually count for your KD time. I mean, typically day to day is planning, prepping for mission, stuff like that. And then when you're on mission, it's very long days, depending on your unit. Really, it's either you're gearing up for a mission, conducting the mission, or training.
What are your general responsibilities? Like, so an average cyber officer, I guess, what would their general responsibilities, including yours, obviously, but general responsibilities be?
So with my current position, I'm kind of in a like a little different of a position, so I don't have the people under me. But the other lieutenants who are on my team, they're pretty much what's called the mission element lead. So they're manning their specific portion of the team, which is kind of similar to a platoon leader, but it's like a little different as well.
Gotcha.
But I mean, for them, it's mostly stuff you would handle as a PO, but also you have to gear up for the mission. You're kind of like liaison as well between your team and higher.
Okay. Actually, this is an interesting question. How did you become a cyber officer? What is in that? You mentioned that you went to OCS, the best commissioning. If you guys didn't hear that, it's the best commissioning source out there. The best officers come from OCS. So, what did you have to do to become a cyber officer? I think you mentioned a packet. So, could you tell everybody what was in that packet, the application?
So in the packet for OCS is different than like if you're going to be it, but for OCS it was a questionnaire that was like 3 or 4 pages long, all technical stuff. There was like 3 or 4 letters of other admin stuff, but the questionnaire was the big one, and your resume.
Okay.
The questionnaire is what you really want to make sure you understand really well because, they want to make sure you have a good understanding of like programming, and I had like 3 or 4 questions with that in there, and you can find possibly a lot of it online, or just understand how to read the code and then go answer the question. Definitely want to drive home that questionnaire, and also you need your transcripts, so that helps if you have either a minor, a major, or some kind of job experience.
What programming, just so the viewers can know, what programming languages do you think are the best that they should focus on if they plan to be a cyber officer?
So the course has been changed a little bit since I went through it, but Python, there's a Python course there, so make sure you have at least a good understanding of that. And I would say maybe like C++. If you can have a working knowledge of like C++, maybe go online to ExploitDB and find some of the exploit code on there that's in C++ or C. And if you can like read through that and understand what's going on, that's going to be the best leg up. But since a lot of the exploits now are going towards Python, you really want to have a good understanding of Python as well.
Okay. So as you guys can see, having a strong knowledge in programming is very important to becoming a cyber officer. Something that this guy did not have. My Python was not good enough. They didn't even need Java. They didn't need any of the things that I knew, right? I mean, I knew Python, but it was not that strong. This is interesting. It's very interesting to hear.
So to go back to the programming part, I'm not a good programmer, and a lot of cyber officers aren't. They actually have like specific, so they're actually creating something called 17 Delta, which is you can be an officer for that, and that's straight programmer. And so if you're a strong programmer, look for 17 Delta once you become a 17 Alpha, and you can actually transition into that. I don't know when, but it's newer. But just to make sure you have a working understanding knowledge of some exploit code, because a lot for my interview, what I heavily about was a course I was taking called OSCP, and I would just talk about some of the examples I've done from there. But in that, they would be like, okay, well, what was this exploit that you used? And I had to talk, like pretty much just be knowledgeable of it, right? Just look at it. You don't have to have like a huge hardcore programming experience, and that's what a lot of people ask me about. They're like, hey, I want to go cyber, but I don't know how to program real well. It's like, that's fine. Just make sure you can understand it.
Just make sure you can understand it.
Yeah.
That's really important, guys. What are the benefits to being a cyber officer, right? Can you break that down for us, please?
I'd say if you were going to, I'll touch on this first, is if you were to transition out of the military, a lot of cyber LTs are walking out making 150, like at least 150. I know of a couple guys who went to making over 200, but they went to project management roles.
Okay.
So I would say that's the biggest, and of course, higher rank you get, right, the more you make on the outside, because you can go to like general manager or whatever. But I would say that's one of the biggest ones, is having something to fall back on if you decide to get out. Another pro is that, like, it's small. It's a small community, and I know somebody at least in every unit, and there's not many. My bullet class, you got divided almost pretty much right half between 2 units. And so that kind of helps, with networking and stuff as well. I have met some of the smartest people I've probably ever met in my life here. I mean, there's like 18-year-olds who could probably run circles around me and like hacking, programming, anything like that. And it's like, I got all this work experience and everything. And they come in and just like killing it right out of high school.
You said that there were younger junior enlisted guys who were more knowledgeable in programming than you.
Oh yeah.
So how do you deal? Is that like as officers, we have to lead, right? And
Right.
how do you deal with having your soldiers possibly knowing more than you? Is that a hit to do you struggle with that at all?
I don't. Actually, I mean, so when I go to take over one of the teams eventually, I mean, I know some of the soldiers who are on that team are like very, very intelligent. That actually makes me feel more confident that I may not know something, but I have them right there who can step up and maybe explain something better. And I look at that as only as positive. I actually don't know any like cyber LT like would say as a negative. I'm sure somebody would be like, oh, it's all about their ego. But I mean, I always see that as positive.
you brought out a lot of benefits of cyber, and I think that's amazing. So, can you tell all of us what do you like the most?
There's always opportunity to challenge yourself.
Okay.
Um, yeah, we may not always have opportunities to go to airborne school, or we're not going to go to airborne units. There's very few cyber guys at units like that. And that's actually mostly CW, but there's always like chances to take a really hard course and further your knowledge because there's a lot of fun, lots of funding right now. That you want a course, you just apply for it and they'll send you there. So there's lots of opportunities like that. You continue growing, and you're never going to really get stagnant. That I would say is the biggest positive.
Is there anything specific to your job, right? That's only exclusive to the base that you're at. Now, you don't have to tell the audience, what base you're at, but if you were at any other duty station, any other state, any other base, could you do the same job there as you do where you're at right now?
I mean, so we have only a few bases that a lot of people go to. So I mean, most people can probably like guess pretty easily which one I'm at. Um, but so if it was one of the other bases, yes. But if I were to say like Fort Bragg or somewhere like that, no.
Mm,
And that's because it's pretty specific to my unit, my team,
gotcha.
um, and like our mission set as well. I would say maybe in the future I could see things moving towards that direction. However, right now, no.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. And I just wanted to just reiterate it. You have not been deployed.
Correct. Yeah. So some teams do get some travel opportunities, but it's mostly stateside, non combat zones. And another thing I want to say that kind of relates to this is that we just adopted within the last year and a half electronic warfare. So that's going to be your 17 Bravos on the officer side. And they're starting to allow people to transfer into that. I know they forced the class of timeline to go into that. So if you want to do like more electronic warfare stuff, you want to add actual like real army stuff and a chance to go like airborne or other units, look to go to those opportunities. Most people, if you're not forced into it out of bullet, you're not going to be allowed to go until after Triple C. Um, and that's because again they're trying to retain more people. Um, but definitely, if you want that more real army vibe with a little bit of sprinkle of cyber, definitely go EW. And also, you have to be a 17 Alpha before you can be a 17 Bravo or a 17 Delta.
Okay, that's actually really
Just
good.
wanted to add that in there.
If there was anything that you would change, anything that you would change, what is the number one thing that you would change?
Right now, that most of it is within those couple of posts, and there's not much. There's some opportunities to go elsewhere, but as a LT, I don't see those often. A lot of us don't, and that I don't like the fact that we could have possibly be at the same post for 20 years. I would like to have some opportunities to get out there and do some other stuff. I would like the opportunity to deploy, which we don't really have that opportunity either. So.
Wow. Just to reiterate it again, you did say becoming a cyber officer does translate very well into the civilian world. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Very good.
This might be a little controversial question for you right now. You might have to sit down a little bit lower for this one, Zach. So,
All right.
how long do you have left in your obligation? Because if you guys don't know, officers do not have contracts except for the very first time they come in. And really, then it's not really a contract. It's more like an obligation. So how much longer do you have in your obligation? And do you plan to stay in for 20 years?
So I have a little less than a year left on my contract, my initial 3 year, because that's another thing. So when I was going through, they had originally talked about, hey, you may have to do a 6 year contract, and that was when I was trying to do the packet for an OCS.
Mm-hmm.
All the cadre were like, oh, you might have to do a 6 year contract and stuff. Ended up being 3. Enlisted is 6. But going back, so I plan to stay in. I'm taking it year by year.
Gotcha.
That's if it becomes too much of an issue with family and stuff, I'm gonna play it by ear.
This is the very last question. Very, very, very last question. If you were to be yourself right now, right? And they brought Zach, they brought you all the way back to we'll say OCS, right? We'll bring you all the way back to OCS, and you were able to talk to a whole bunch of OCs, senior OCs that got selected for cyber. What words of wisdom would you give them?
That's a tough one because, well, I would say that cyber is definitely different than anything you've experienced in the Army up to this point, which is short at that point, but it's very different. Uh, and I would say make sure you're ready because when you get the bullet, it's not easy. It's not super hard, and if you have a degree in this, you've probably seen a lot of it before. But be prepared because it's going to be a lot of late night studies. You're going to feel like you're going through a master's program, and that's what I felt like the whole time was. I felt like I should be getting some kind of college credit. It was 9 months of like head in the book.
9 months?
Yeah, it was 9 months for Bullet.
That's a long bullet. That's the longest bullet, I think. I think that's the longest one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, besides aviation. Yeah.
Wow.
But just be prepared. Be excited because I mean, right now there's so many opportunities to have whatever training you want. So if there's a certain specific way you want to take your career, or try to fight for the unit you want to go to. I didn't get my first unit that I really wanted. There's opportunities to move units in the future as well. But know that whatever connections you make in Bullet, you're gonna see these people again, right? Like I see people in the parking lot every single day. So just don't burn any bridges. Be prepared to study hard. Have some fun because once you get to your unit, it's going to be like go, go, go.
All right, guys, that is the end of the interview with this rare species we have here, guys. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity I'm getting right now because cyber officers, they're like, I have never even seen a cyber officer, right? So this is rare. And I remember, so when I went to OCS, guys, I think cyber was like brand new, or it was just getting introduced, and I don't even think anybody got selected for cyber in my class, which is interesting. Anyway, guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you guys can hit me up on Snapchat or Instagram. You guys know the handles. Normally, I would say we will ask our guests to see if they want to drop their Instagram handle, but we will not be doing that with a cyber officer, guys. So this is all you're going to get for him. If you guys have any questions, you guys can drop them. Do not leave a comment. You guys hit me up on Instagram or Snapchat, and I will try and reach out to Zach. And if Zach has time, then he will respond to me. Then I will respond to you. But anyway, like I always like to say at the end of all my videos, don't live the same year 75, 80, 85, 90 times and then try and call it a life. My name is Dom, aka KT2, and this is Zach, guys, and we are out of here, guys. Peace.